everyone, thank you for joining us once again in Rocky, our home. This is a video blog that has been a long time in the making and something I've been wanting to make for a long time, and finally I get to. One thing I have wanted to do since the very day that I saw the first sunrise in the Grand Tetons is make it to the top of the Grand Teton. I always thought it was a little bit beyond my skill level, but when Kendrick came along, he suggested that he help me get to the top of the Grand.
It's there, we're there, why not?
I was so nervous when we were preparing, but the one thing that made me not so nervous was the amount of research that Kendrick did. Most people hire guides, and we decided to do it on our own.
Yeah, it's nice to go out and just figure things out on your own. Getting to the top of the Grand from the trailhead is about 15 miles, give or take. I think right at 7,000 feet of elevation gain.
We decided the best thing to do would be to take 2 days, but it's also bad in the fact that it means we have to take a lot more stuff.
Heavy backpacks, a 70-meter rope weighs a little bit. A bear canister weighs quite a bit. Food, tent, sleeping bags. Our original plan was to hike up to an area called the Lower Saddle. In order to do any backcountry camping in Grand Teton National Park, you need a backcountry permit. So we decided to go into the ranger's office an hour or so before we intended to start hiking up.
That makes sense to me.
Fortunately, that's not quite the way it works. There's only 6 or 7 spots available up there, and they were all reserved. We had to settle for camping at a campsite a little bit below the Lower Saddle in an area known as the Moraines.
Alright, we just got our permit and we're standing in the trailhead, and I have to say, talking to the park ranger made me kind of a little bit nervous.
Should be easy.
I think I had kind of the proper amount of nervousness. Like, I thought it was going to be a difficult hike for me, and it was. I mean, it was a beautiful hike. Once we got into the canyon and we turned the corner and we could see the Middle Teton right in front of us for the first time, I mean, that's kind of all the motivation you need to get up a mountain, is to see it right in front of you.
It's a pretty impressive view. Just water flowing everywhere.
The snow was melting and there was fresh water that we could drink pretty much the whole way.
Yeah.
By the time we reached the moraine, I was exhausted and happy to just be able to set up our tent. It's kind of windy out, but we got our tent set up. We also played our little game that I like to play every night of highlight, low light, and grateful. And my highlight was getting in the sleeping bag.
Mine was dinner. Settling in for a 3:30 a.m. wake-up call.
Oh man, 3:30.
Yay!
All right, where are we?
Just a little bit above the Lower Saddle.
It's been a steep morning, but not too bad. I'm mixing between like nervous and excited.
Sun's coming up. That's always a morale booster.
Yeah, I think the dark is getting me down a little bit. The first thing that really surprised me, that I kind of didn't expect the beauty to be quite as beautiful as it was seeing the sunrise up there.
Yeah, sunrise when you're up high in the mountains is pretty amazing. You get up amongst all these big towering mountains and it's just gorgeous.
I think that was my favorite moment.
It was a little bit chilly and we had pretty much all of our clothes on.
So we get up to the more technical part of the climbing, and while we're standing there, all of a sudden it starts to flurry. First super light, and then it turns into grapple.
I was hoping that the snow and grapple would kind of let up a little bit. You could see all of the guided parties were bailing out on the route. They were already rappelling down without going to the summit, so
we just passed what they call the
belly crawl.
The belly crawl, which was that really exciting little part there. And as soon as we got through it, it started snowing pretty hardcore.
It's starting to accumulate.
So close to the top. But you can die on your way to the top, so I felt like I couldn't keep going, so we turned around.
The mountain will still be there, so I mean, might as well play it safe and come back another day.
We had the short discussion that perhaps we could wait and spend one more night and go up the next day. Again, mentally, I don't think I had the strength to go back up what I just came down. You know, for me, that was the end.
After we bailed and started hiking out, I was already trying to think of how we can fit it into our schedule to stick around and try again. Get on top of the Grand on this trip.
I remember telling you that the only thing that would make our hike down worth it that day is if we saw a bear. That would totally be a sign that we did the right thing. Sure enough, right before we hit the trailhead, we saw a little baby black bear on the side of the trail.
Walking around, eating berries.
And when Kendrick first suggested that we wait a couple of days and put off our travel plans and try again, I thought, oh man, you're crazy. I can barely imagine climbing the Grand Teton once in my life, let alone twice in 1 week.
And it took a couple days to recuperate.
Over a couple of traditional Sunday mimosas, we figured out the things that we could improve.
My pack right after the first attempt, and then I weighed it before the second attempt, and we had shed some weight.
Going up the second time, I was super nervous that my legs were already going to be shot, and so it would be harder than it was the first time. To my surprise, I felt 100 times better. Okay, we just finished day one. We're at the lower saddle, and I am exhausted. But we did it faster than we did it on Thursday, and so I'm feeling super positive about tomorrow.
A little bit more distance and about 800 more vertical feet, so we made pretty good time.
Kendrick ran up ahead to go scout, and I got to just like sit down and enjoy the view for a minute, which I think is exactly what I needed at that moment.
It was a beautiful afternoon, warm, and shorts and no shirt. It was just awesome. After that, went back down and hung out at the tent for the rest of the evening. 3:30 a.m. wake up call.
3:30 a.m. We get all bundled up, kind of prepped for what we had experienced before.
And less than 15 minutes later, we are in tank tops with our pant legs rolled up to our knees.
So we start trekking back up what we had just trekked up a few days earlier. The only good thing about it is that we got a second sunrise on the mountain. And we got to the climbing part, which, being dry and warm, was not difficult at all. It didn't even feel like the same mountain as it felt days earlier.
Pretty sure we're the first ones up.
We made it! Woo! We're here on top of the world, at least on top of the Tetons, which in my mind are on top of the world. Getting to the top of this mountain was different for me because I had set it out to be a very personal thing for me.
It was a really good feeling to finally get out there and finally get on the Grand and get to the top of it. You know, the very first photo I saw of it just made me think, I want to climb that thing. Just perfect skies. I mean, there's some haze. The views were still pretty amazing.
You always see the sun hit the Tetons from the east side, but being on top of it, you can see both sides. And you don't realize that you get a perfectly outlined shadow of the Tetons to the west.
You're standing on the summit and you can see the shadow. Look really close and squint your eyes. You still can't see your shadow on top of it, but you can pretend.
And then this time when we headed down, it was a little more fun. One, because we had made it to the top, and so we were just happier. Also, we got to rappel.
Yeah.
My family is all scared of heights, and I don't know how I'm the one person who did not get that fear, but rappelling is definitely my favorite part.
I'm kind of glad that it took us 2 tries to get up the Grand Teton. You don't always make it to the top, and you have to, I don't know, be honest with yourself about whether or not it's safe to keep going or if you should turn around.
No matter what we're doing in life, we're going to fail at things. we just have to remember that nothing's permanent and that every single day we have a choice to make to change something for the better. I am so thankful that you made me turn around and go up for a second try, and that's what we can all do every day in life, is just keep trying.
Remember the old cliche saying, it's only a failure if you don't learn from it.
Whatever your Grand Teton might be, go out today and climb it. Love and light.